Hey everybody, we're jumping in with another big question this week. Who is Jesus? Well, he's the most famous person from history. I mean, 100 years from now, no one will still be talking about me. Like, yeah, but Ben, you're not even a little famous. Okay, let's pick somebody who used to be super famous. How many of us know who was the President of the United States exactly 100 years ago? Anybody? Yeah, that's what I thought. This guy named Calvin Coolidge.
Hey, it's me, Calvin Coolidge!
100 years later, very few people could tell you anything about him. But here we are, 2,000 years after the life of Jesus, and there are 2 billion people on the planet who call themselves his followers. One first-century historian named Josephus, who wasn't a Christian himself, described Jesus as a wise man, a teacher, and a doer of wonderful works. That's a good description, although that's not what Jesus said about himself. The book of John is an eyewitness account of Jesus' life, and in it, John recorded Jesus saying, "I and the Father are one." Jesus is claiming to be God. That's a massive claim for any human to make. Is it true? Well, Jesus lived a miraculous life. He multiplied food to feed thousands. He healed those who were sick, even dead people. Also, he fulfilled Old Testament prophecy, generic and specific things about the life of Messiah that were written centuries before his life. No one else in history has had a whole collection of books written about them before they were born. We could do a deep dive in any number of these books: Genesis, Psalms, Isaiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, Zechariah. That's for another day. And at the end of the day, Jesus' claim about who he is relies on the nature of his death and the fact that he didn't stay dead. The cornerstone of Christianity is that Jesus had a physical resurrection. If Jesus died, was buried in a tomb, and then after that started walking and talking and hanging out with his friends and eating fish, well, then the grave has lost its power and death has been conquered. And I'll just say, personally, for me, the evidence that Jesus rose from the dead overwhelmingly brings the whole story into sharp focus. He was executed. The Romans knew how to make sure someone was dead when they killed him, okay? They were experts. He was buried in a tomb, and that tomb was found empty. The Romans acknowledged this, so they came up with a cheap story to explain it away. The first Christians started telling people, "He is risen. I saw him die, and I have now seen him alive. I've touched him, spoken with him, I've eaten with him." They knew that Jesus was totally dead, and then that he was totally alive. And that's why they were willing to die for this belief. Think about that. So many of the apostles who saw Jesus after the resurrection, spoke with him, touched him, ate with him, they were killed for telling that story. And none of them ever said, just kidding, don't kill me, we made it up. We made it up, I'm sorry, don't kill me. They accepted death to promote a crazy, ridiculous idea. And the best explanation for all of this, incredible as it may seem, is that Jesus truly rose from the dead. So, we've got all that, and Jesus changes lives, like mine. So who is Jesus? When we put all the evidence together, his teaching, his life, his character, his miracles, his fulfillment of prophecy, and his resurrection from the dead, It all provides strong support that what Jesus said about himself was true. And that's good news for us. God has revealed himself in Jesus. Jesus really is who he claimed to be. He really did rise from the dead. And that means there's hope beyond this life and there's hope for this life. That's what I've found. And you can too. Here's a question for you and your neighbor. Name a person you know whose life has been changed by Jesus.